and welcome back to Briggle. My name is Brittany and today we are doing a quick review on Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. Do you like my cloak? Now remember, spoilers ahead. Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves follows a ragtag team as they aim to take down the evil overlord, which is a very simplistic version of this story. And maybe they could have benefited by simplifying it just a little bit more. All jokes aside, this story does have some very fun elements to it. The story is something that we know, that we've seen. Ragtag team, usually on the verges of criminality. They're criminals. They're criminals. They do kind of like a Robin Hood thing. The story itself is very basic adventure level, but it is still enjoyable, especially considering a few people who are watching this aren't gonna be ones that have played D&D. So you're gonna kind of have to keep it surface level at some points. But with that means a lot of exposition, and they kind of deliver this in funny ways, which is actually a good thing because I dragged my mum along to it and she enjoyed it. It wasn't so convoluted with all the D&D game rules, which honestly I can even get overwhelmed with, that it was enjoyable. And that is the best thing to come out of this. It is a fun film. You can kind of tell where the plot's going, you can kind of see what the end credit scene's going to be, but you're gonna have fun on your way. Story aside, let's have a look at the characters. Chris Pine plays a lovable bard, and you can't help but get sucked in by his charm and his devotion to his daughter. It was funny watching this after my experience with the Critical Role animated series because it definitely felt tame. But it was still enjoyable. I think Critical Role is a beast in and of itself. So Chris Pine's bard might not be as, you know, as Scanlan, but he is still very lovable and he's exactly what the team needs as a leader. One thing that stands out about his character, that although he doesn't have magical abilities as a bard, you can still see he has inspiration. He can stir that up from his party, especially when they are feeling low. And we see this in a scene with Michelle Rodriguez's character. That is hard to say. Rodriguez plays Olga, and you cannot help but love her. She has been cut off from her tribe for falling in love, and then the love of her life abandons her. So she finds herself falling into the path of Chris Pine's character, and she sees that he's down in the dumps, but he has a child to take care of. So she swoops in and really carries them. And it's great to see such a barbaric character with a sense of family. And I mean, look, I know, Fast and Furious, we get it, family. But that was really beautiful to see, especially when they have a moment where Olga is very sad, very hurting. And you can see how Chris Pine's bard lifts her spirits through song. And that's such a simple, beautiful way to show that simple detail of inspiration from a bard that you would get in a D&D game. Sophia Lillis and Justice Smith played the magical parts of this group. Although Justice's character had the gloomy, magical kind of character going on, yeah, it had its element, it has its needs. On the flip side, Sophia Lillis had this confidence and this strength, but also quite dry. I still didn't find her that engaging. So Sophia Lillis's character, Doric, who is a druid, has amazing abilities and can turn into different animals and creatures, which I love, and I actually have a character set up for my next D&D game to play a druid. How they did the wild shape in this movie is captivating and created one of the best jump scares and chase scenes I've seen in a while. I really felt this. And it was in those moments, and I know it's a little bit unfair, but they were the best moments for the character, and the actress wasn't in them. The both of them were very essential to the group, absolutely, but there wasn't too much appeal outside of their abilities. Speedrunning through the last few characters, we have the Paladin, who is hilarious. I won't spoil anything there because I think that humor should be fresh. And then Hugh Grant plays a magnificent villain, and I really liked his careless, cunning approach to being the bad guy. Asterix, the second bad guy. Because to be honest, we don't actually see the very big bad, who's the one who is leading the Red Wizards. We do see Sophia, and oh my goodness, the jump scares from her are incredible and I loved it. I think she may have been yes, she is the standout. And it's for the jump scares. I was not expecting it, I got hit, and I loved it. Now we get to the CGI, which unfortunately in some points was lacking. You could see as Sophia's face changes from a very lifelike witch or sorcerer to kind of like an undead sorcerer or witch. And that was a close-up and it was bad. To have that in the final moments of the film where it's meant to be climactic is a big failure on the movie's part. However, when they did the puppetry and the special effects, that is what I loved. At one point they are doing some grave robbing and trying to ask the dead bodies questions, and you'll see that in the trailer as well. It's probably a mix of puppetry and special effects, and it was so entertaining. It just created such a nostalgic feel. That is to say, the very first monster that we see and his hands are in handcuffs, I feel like a bit more attention to detail could have been done there, as one of the first shots of the film. His hands were meh. Coming out of this film, there is really going to be some amazing quotes, of which my favorite is, "Oh, Jonathan!" And if that does not become a quote, I will be very sad. One thing I love about these types of films, and I would also put it under the idea of Fast and Furious, where it is a film that the base is entertainment. That is the goal. Reach the audience that it likes, create an amazing 2 hours, and something that is just enjoyable. The best thing is when the director or the producers or the creative teams on these shows realize it is just for entertainment value. It's not really pushing a message. Let's see what we can push in the design. And I think they were able to do this in some very funky camera work, some beautiful special effects, as I was saying before, and puppetry, and as well just to have characters say some of the most outlandish things.
So you make plans that fail?
No.
He also plays the lute.
Not relevant.
Before I wrap this up, I really want to pay attention to the fight scenes in this movie. Whoever played Michelle Rodriguez's stunt double, impeccable fight scenes. They were so much fun to watch, so brutal. One fight made me think back to the sword fight in Pirates of the Caribbean, where it's in the blacksmithery between Will and Captain Jack. I remember back then thinking this is absolutely amazing, it's so much fun, and it was so clever for that day, using the landscape and using the different tools and things about the space. Michelle Rodriguez's fight scene just takes it to the next level. It's so much fun. And I think that's what we want to walk away from this movie with. It was fun. It was so enjoyable. The characters had some incredible lines, hilarious moments. It presented to us what we expected, and then at times just went boop. And that was enough to create that's funny moments. With that being said, I'd probably give it about a 7.5 out of 10. It was thoroughly enjoyable. The CGI really let it down, unfortunately, in places. And the story is cramped. And a little bit expected, but it is enjoyable. And I cannot stress that enough. But before you go, make sure you tell me in the comments down below, what character did you love from this movie? And if you play D&D, what character do you play? With that being said, thank you so much for watching. My name is Brittany, and you have been watching Brit Girl. I would like to multi-class.